Hey, I am Dr. Jareka Dodd, executive editor of PharmaSis Magazine. And I always say that I have the best job, if you call it a job, because I get to meet some of the most amazing women in pharmacy. And this lady right here, Dr. Amina Abubakar, is one of those people that I wanted to meet for a long time before I actually met her. And you know how when you meet somebody and you feel like they have such a calming, soothing demeanor that you're like, I need to call her like once a month. I need to talk to her once a month. That's how I feel about Dr. Amina. And when I tell you, this is an amazing lady to know. And I'm very, very grateful that it was suggested to me years ago that I should get to know her. And it was well worth the wait. So I want to introduce my guest to you today, who is the cover pharmacist for the fall 2022 issue of PharmaSis Magazine, Dr. Amina Abubakar. Hello, Dr. Amina. How are you?
Great, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure connecting and just meeting more people online. So, hi everyone, if you're joining in,
Yes.
um,
And
great connecting.
even though we are doing this live during the holiday season, I love that about social media because it's going to be out there. So there will probably be people who will catch the replay because when they hear that I interviewed Dr. Amina, they're going to be like, "Oh, I want to watch that." So we are also having this record for those who, when they maybe come back to work or whenever they see it, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I want to catch that." So it is being aired on the Dr. Jareka Dodd YouTube channel. It's on the LinkedIn PharmaSis Magazine page, as well as the Facebook PharmaSis Magazine page, and anywhere else we want to share it. So, Dr. Amina, like as we were talking before we went live, I wish that like that could have been the recording right there. But
Yes, we could.
I had an opportunity to speak with a woman pharmacist, and that's a demographic or a group that I'm very much interested in because one, our profession is definitely majority women, and I get an opportunity to speak to so many women who are looking to do something different with their careers or they have questions about which way they should go. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about as women and as women pharmacists is that we don't own our value. Is that maybe that's the best way I can say that. We don't own our value, and we tend to self-deprecate and think that our value is tied to the organization we work for or something external to us. And I want you to share your thoughts on that. What do you think about
Sure.
us not owning our value?
I think a lot of people are driven by fear, and fear has killed more dreams than
Oh,
any risk you would ever take.
yes.
So part of it is fear of really facing who you are and seeing the greatness in you and knowing that it's not about comparing yourself to any measures or any standards, that you are uniquely positioned and the things around you and the gifts that you bring are
Right.
just unique to the world. And so when you look at yourself and not trying to be the same, you
Mhm.
find the value in you. I think part of our culture or growing up may have developed self doubts
Yes.
that as an adult, we need to face it in the mirror and
Mhm.
say, you're a saboteur. You're
Yeah.
not an encourager. So that voice that tells you why you or you're not worthy of this, it's a
Right.
lie. And
Yeah.
so I think removing that fear and just being present and removing attachments, right?
Mhm.
These
Mhm.
are organizations, these are places we work, these are businesses we build. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we are who we are. Our families may not even know anything about the businesses, but they love us for who we are and we show up for our friends. And I think looking at things that way gives you
Mhm.
the freedom to just get into the world, spread
Yes.
your wings, and just be yourself because someone out there values something that you have. And
Right.
you need to connect and tell people so they can actually find you.
So I could not agree with you more because I, especially where we are in the pharmacy profession today, there are many things that are changing and shifting and improving. And I've even unfortunately seen some who say, oh, they would tell students, don't go into pharmacy, it's horrible. But I like to look at the fact that with all the transitions that are happening in the world of pharmacy today, I feel like it's ripe with opportunity to either one, create solutions that have never been tried before, never been explored before. And then two, I also believe it's an opportunity for pharmacists to like give ourselves a different name. I think that within the healthcare environment, sometimes pharmacists have not been recognized for what they can contribute, what they can do. People are surprised and go, "A pharmacist can do that." I think that it's such an opportunity to rebrand the profession as well as ourselves. And I think that that starts with branding yourself. Who are you, as you were saying, not attached to a particular institution, but who are you, just you? Who are you? And what gifts, talents, skills, abilities do you bring?
Yes, and if you pay attention to everything that is happening out of this perfect storm,
Yes.
more innovation. I have seen more inspiring organizations that are like, wow, pharmacists are doing this. People have come what I call like outside of the box. We don't even have a box anymore, right?
Right.
But we spent so much time being in a box and trying to define who we are. And I joke around with a lot of physicians and I say, I think our pharmacy school training may have put us to be so afraid, you
Hmm.
know, in
Hmm.
terms of like everything is, well, I need to know all the stuff before I can do this, right?
Right.
Where physicians are very flexible and said, oh, I'll figure it out as I go.
Right.
And they just go right in, meet a patient and listen and just try to go with it. But for pharmacy, we're so trained to have all the answers. We're so
Hmm.
trained to be right. And I
Yes.
think it's time that we are comfortable with the gray, with the
Right.
uncertainty, because within that comes a lot of diamonds. I've seen it. I've seen the
Yes.
creativity of new pharmacists innovating, and I'm just so inspired to see the
Mhm.
profession does not have a box,
Right. Yeah.
that it's not just behind the counter,
I
right? And
think
so that's really exciting, and remembering that we're responsible of how pharmacy is going to look tomorrow. If we don't like the narrative where we came from,
yes.
we are absolutely now responsible because we are aware.
Hmm.
So moving together in the direction of redefining or revolutioning pharmacy is a great place to be.
Hmm. Tell me, I know that your entree into the profession included days working as a pharmacist in community pharmacy. Tell me, because I know that many, we obviously know that our colleague, Dr. Bled Tanaway, is leading the movement on getting more recognition for pharmacists and pharmacy technicians in the community setting and really helping to bring attention to what the needs are there. Tell me tell me how your community days help give you like a jumping point to what you do today.
So at heart, I'm a community person, whether it's pharmacy, whether it's fundraising, whether it's an event. I
Yes.
love people. I love being connected to other people. So
Hmm.
community pharmacy validated for me that I belonged in that community.
Hmm.
And people needed my expertise. People needed how I could help them be well. So we had a good ecosystem, but those were tough days because they were also very challenging
Mhm.
because of the institutions that I was working in, right?
Mhm.
It was a box. Like
Right.
I could not just walk down the aisle and help an individual that really needs it, knowing that they really need my help. But
Mhm.
what that did for me is saying, how can I do this without all these barriers that
Right.
are making me feel that I don't want to be a community pharmacist?
Mhm.
So I started the journey of just clear, the clarity of who I was. I knew I didn't belong in a hospital setting because I love continuum of care. I love
Mhm.
people coming in and seeing their dogs and their cats and them having kids. And I just love that. So I knew that was me, and I needed, and I was responsible to just be present in that community and offer myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
Forget what organization I was working for. I really needed to offer myself. And I was doing that through the community pharmacy, making one connection at a time, one patient at a time. And that who mattered to me.
Right.
So
Right.
when I walked away and I had gone to work at home infusion, while
Okay.
I did get to de-stress and not have, all that comes with what we're fighting for, I did miss the engagement. I did miss the individuals coming in. And so I asked myself one question: why not? Why not just do what I clearly feel and see? And it's okay if I fail, but what if I don't try?
Mhm. Yep.
And so it just prepared me because I knew where I didn't want to go back.
Mhm.
So it fueled the paver that I needed to pave
And
and go forward.
the reason I asked you to share that is because I'm hoping that those who are in a community setting, or any setting for that matter, but specifically a community setting, and feel like their hands are tied, they're whatever, that they, and maybe not everyone has the dream of having their own pharmacy, but I love how you said you stepped back and said, because I think it takes you removing yourself, mentally, physically sometimes, and going, okay, how can I do this without the barriers that I'm running up against right now, but how can I do this and it look different? And that is one of the things that I admire about what you've created in your pharmacy. That to me is like you saying, okay, I have this example, and these are the reasons it doesn't work for me. So I'm going to go over here and create it, recreate it without the things that don't work for me, and how I envision wanting to take care of patients. And that's one of the things I love, love, love about you, your driving spirit, and your ingenuity to say, okay, all right, I see this example. Let me see what I can do over here. I love that.
Yes, and people should know that I don't come from a background of business. I don't come from family generations of business. I really wanted to solve a problem. And
Mhm.
so I would have been happy even if I didn't own the pharmacy. What I
Right.
was looking for had nothing to do with ownership.
Yeah.
It really had to be how I wanted to practice, how I wanted to show up. And so when I went into the transition, it
Mhm.
wasn't about the business. I
Right.
actually was very happy working for an independent pharmacy owner that unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer and then had to sell her pharmacy to the
Okay.
same place that I had run away from. And so that gave me PTSD of not wanting to go
Wanting to
back.
go back. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I said, okay, I need to make this happen and I need to
Mhm.
make this work. So for those who are out there, it doesn't have to be an ownership pathway. Not
Mhm.
everyone, you can be, you can be an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur.
Right.
I have very many entrepreneurs in our company where
Ah,
I take the risk, right? And I
mhm.
say, we're going to move forward and I'm going to support you. And you're
Mhm.
going to build a business within a business and they're building the departments in it. So don't just fear and think the pathway is only to ownership and doing and being
Right.
at risk by yourselves. There could be other people out there, pharmacy owners that have resources, that have
Mhm.
connections, but you have the know-how, you have the passion, and
Right.
together could be a great marriage, a business within a business. So just remove those fears, because I wasn't thinking ownership. I landed in ownership, but I also make sure that my team and those who work with me
Mhm.
realize, you know what, whatever you want to build, we have a canvas, right?
I
And
I love whenever I've talked to you, there's not been any time I think that I've talked to you that you haven't spoken about your passion for supporting those who work with you and for you. And I love that because not only are you, I think I resonate with it because I coach people for my living. And so my goal is to help them be their best, not to recreate myself, but for them to take whatever it is that their goal, is their dream, is their desire, and help them make that come true. I love in that I don't think there's ever been a time that I've spoken to you that you haven't been thinking of your team, what you can do for them, how you can support them, how you can offer yourself more to them. And that is, if people, like you said, they don't have to go after ownership. That's not the only answer or the only way. But even to go find someone who cares, like Dr. Amina, to say, you know what, I want to work for someone who cares for me like that as an employee, and looks at me as a partner, if you will. I love that about you because you're not only interested in you achieving whatever your business ownership goals are, but you're interested in the outcomes that those who work with you and for you that they achieve.
absolutely. And that's one of my values. I said I like people, I like
Mhm.
connectedness, I
Right.
like togetherness,
Mhm.
and so, I'm from in Africa. You can go very fast by yourself, but you can go really far with others. And
Others.
that has been historic, and that's been my upbringing. And I've
Yeah.
seen greatness that comes with collaboration. So, absolutely, they're my backbone and they know it.
Yes, yes. And I think that I think, as we have gone through, 2+ years of a pandemic, and even just the way that people's outlook on work and what they're willing to do and not willing to do, I think it's owners and um, employers such as you who have, not just during a pandemic time, but even prior to that, shown your people that you really care about them. I think that speaks volumes, and it cultivates like a loyalty. It cultivates relationship. It cultivates trust. It cultivates hope that even when they're looking around and seeing, all the transition opportunities within the profession, they can feel good that they can suggest new ideas, they can dream a little bit or a lot, and that you're there to say, okay, let's see if we can make that happen. I think that's amazing. And so it's why I want people to really see this and know that there are other options, because I think I tend to hear oh my God, I don't know how long I can take, how much more of this I can take. I want people to understand that there are places where they can be creative, they can make suggestions, they will feel valued. There are those places.
Yes, they are those places, or you can be those places,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
So in the audience, we're looking for those that want to build those places, that have more stamina in taking on the risk, and it's okay if it works, it's okay if it doesn't. And then partnering with those that says, I got your back and we can
Mhm.
do this, and creating more of those opportunities. Once I opened my pharmacy, and I asked myself so many questions. And I said, if I can do this, and I'm this small, and I don't have the profits and everything that these other guys are sharing publicly about, I don't know where their money goes. And so it just got me thinking
Right.
of the misalignment on the values, and so I was very grateful to see that even in a small pharmacy that we're able to have that impact with our employees and their families and just be able to do it. So
Right.
yeah, it lets you really think about where you want to align yourself with.
So, talk to me a little bit more about marketing yourself. So, I know that before you said, "Yeah, I'll be on the cover of PharmaSis Magazine." Before any of that, like the world, and especially the world of pharmacy, but the world already knew Dr. Amina. Why do you feel it's important to market yourself?
So before that, I never really did. And I don't think many people knew about me. And I was just in my world, solving my one problem at a time every day, wake up, go in and do it. And then one day, I was accidentally having a conversation with another pharmacist.
Hmm.
And I said, "Oh, yeah, this is what we do." And yes, I go inside the doctor's EHR and I find this. And she said, "Hold on a minute. What did you say? And how do you do that?" And I said, "Oh, well, we've been doing ABC and we work with providers and we do this." And she was like, "Would you be open to speak to a group of other pharmacy owners about some of these things that you've done and it could help someone?"
Right.
Right. And they got me at it could help someone.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
see, that's
Yeah.
where they got me. And so I said, "Sure." And that was the first time I was ever put on stage to speak.
Hmm.
And me and one of our other pharmacists, Olivia, got there, spoke. But what happened after that? The many lives that were transformed, the many other pharmacy owners that I connected with and said, "That was a great idea." I went back and I reached out to this provider, and I was on the blink of closing my pharmacy. But guess what? We just hired our second pharmacist.
Ah.
I realized marketing, it's not about self promoting.
Mhm.
It's really about sharing because you never know who out there needs your information.
Right.
So that's when I got comfortable. But before, again, I grew up in a very conservative community, and you don't talk about what you have or you don't talk about what you do. And so people never benefit.
Mhm.
Right. And so from there, I've seen the benefits, and it still doesn't make me comfortable. I'm not someone that likes to brag or say things, but I realize the impact that it has
Mhm.
and the impact it has had on me when I listen to others. And I said, "Whoa, I've been going through that, or I feel this way, and I'm not alone." So
Right.
I think it's more about getting out there, sharing, connecting, and letting those who can need you or you need them find each
Mhm.
other. So that's
Yeah.
my new book, and I think it's very important. There are many things I would not have known if people didn't share
Right.
what
Right.
they do.
I totally concur, and obviously we grew up in very different cultures, but my rearing was very similar in that you didn't necessarily broadcast what you were doing because that could be considered to be boastful or prideful. But I tell you what, when I started in business, I remember, like, I didn't when I built my first website, there's no picture of me there. I just said, "Oh, I just want to help people. It doesn't matter that my picture be there. They don't need to know anything about me." And I actually had some very limiting beliefs because I believed that, number one, no one would buy anything from me as a Black woman. I believe that, and now that is totally not true. And I also believed that I couldn't sell anything. I thought selling was a very dirty word and that I couldn't sell anything. But you know what? I really believe and have heard that you're either selling or you're being sold to. And so I decided, like, I can do this. And I actually kept my original website as it is. If you were to go there now, you still won't see my picture because I went from that. And I remember someone saying to me, if you want to build your business, you've got to get in front of it. And I had no, what does get in front of it mean? What do you mean, get in front of it? And so obviously, I never even had an idea at that time for a magazine. But when I decided to publish the magazine, I remembered you've got to get in front of it. And it was not like oh, glamour, like, let me throw my, no, it was, oh my gosh, I want to connect and reach and inspire women to market themselves as well. And it has served well to help me market myself, to help me build a brand that didn't exist, that I had no template for, but to get past, as I was saying to you before, to get past like all the what will people think, what will people say. I have a friend who used to say to me, people are going to talk anyway, so you might as well give them something to talk about. And so, literally, just like live your life, do what you are purposed to do, and share what you have with the world. Some will like it, some will not. However, I am honored to count the number of people, because I can't count, that I've been able to touch because I decided to share my story, to not worry about what people are thinking, and to market myself. It has helped me, even beyond the magazine, connect with people that I would have never imagined that I would have met.
Yes, and then you look at in marketing and selling, people don't buy products, people buy solutions,
Right,
right? So
right,
when you're talking about how your business or what your organization does to solve problems, then
right,
you are finding customers because they are buying a solution to a problem they have. So
right,
if you don't get out there and talk to them, how would they find a solution?
right. And I believe that people buy from people. And when people, I say fall in love with you, but when people know, like, and trust you, it's easier for them to even hear, unless their solution is like wake up in the morning problem,
Yes.
and they're looking for you anyway. But if it's not a wake up in the morning problem, and they know you, they like you, they trust you, I feel that it makes them more open to hear about, oh, you do have a solution for me. Okay, yes, I'd like to hear it, because it's even possible for them to go, that is a problem for me. I do want to solve, because it may not be at the
They
top
would
of their
not be
list
aware.
right
Yes.
away. So I definitely, I used to think, because I, even in my years in pharma, I was always on the medical side of the business, and so I used to think that marketing was a dirty word. But now, as an entrepreneur, I understand that without marketing, how will anybody even know you exist? So
It's a culture change, and we need to shift it because, as a preceptor for also pharmacy students that come to the pharmacy, they do think about sales and marketing as something bad,
yeah,
and so it's unfortunate and how we've gotten here. But
yeah,
in order for these businesses to grow and thrive, so I always love taking the opportunity to share a different perspective on what that outreach looks like, and
right,
then they get it. So yeah,
yeah,
so together collectively we have work to do
yeah.
about our profession, about marketing our profession.
Mhm.
And now that we are getting traction.
Right, right, right. And I think that as new graduates come, because when I talk to students, they definitely are kind of have their ears perked up, like, what else can I do besides community and hospital or residency, which those definitely are paths for some people. But there are ones who are like, what else is there? What other things are there? And I think that in this day and age of our profession, I don't know that I would have ever thought it, when I was a new pharmacist, but in this day and age in our profession, I think that the creative pharmacist is going to win, because they look at the landscape with a different eye and can see, I can fill a gap there, I can solve a problem here. And when you add that to marketing, I think that, like, the sky is the limit. you know?
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Amina, tell me what's next for you. I love following your travels and being your social media follower and go, oh, I see what she's doing now. I love, love, love that, and I get excited. And you share some of the most beautiful pictures of where you are and where you're traveling. Tell me what's next for you.
So I'm a product of a community coming together to help me.
Hmm.
Okay. So when I came to the United States to go to school, my family didn't have money or resources, and the
Hmm.
community came together and solved that problem for me. So
Hmm.
I'm a product of a fundraiser that took me through college,
I do.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I always work on giving back.
Hmm.
And as I was doing that, I like to be involved with so many different missions because I believe in those bridge, the
Hmm.
bridge to help someone get from point A to point B.
Hmm.
Because without that bridge, for me, I would not be here today.
Right. Right.
So, all coming back home and being able to give back
Hmm.
and find the next Amina, what
Hmm.
are their barriers? Is it financial barrier to school? Is it health? Is it this? So, I like to be part of the purpose,
Hmm.
right? But I also quickly realized the donor fatigue because these problems don't end,
Right.
right? They don't have an ending. So,
Hmm.
when you are giving, I get it. And
Hmm.
I was tired of asking, you
Hmm.
know, because these missions are near and dear to me, but I only have limited resources as well.
Right.
So I came back home and I said, there were two problems I was trying to resolve. One, I met people that their businesses crashed during the pandemic because Kenya depends on tourism.
Right.
So no one traveled, and so they were economically impacted, and their families were economically impacted. And I said, you know what? I need to connect travelers who are
Hmm.
willing to travel and come to these places, meet the people, but through that, I can fundraise through this travel. So I'm not doing it as a business to economically benefit me or
Uh-huh.
that I'm bored and I have more time. It's a means to allow purposeful travel.
Okay.
So, individuals during your travel, you're actually giving to some of these courses that I'm part of. And
Um,
now I'm looking for small, attainable, and people can see results. For example, I grew up in an island, and some of the communities, girls aren't taught swimming. So,
um,
when you live on an island, and most people means of transport are water based. When
mhm.
there's an accident, they don't survive. The girls don't survive.
Right.
So, well, the solution is let's teach the girls swimming. Well, most of the families can't afford to have the girls go for swim lessons. Well, that's easy. How many sessions do they need? How do
Mhm.
we connect the girls that need to swim with those who are willing to teach them and
Mhm.
pay those individuals? So those are the projects that
Mhm.
I've aligned to be a part of,
Mhm.
or connecting different talents.
Mhm.
Like right now in the village that we come from, two kids have been advanced to France for soccer
Okay.
because someone invited the soccer players from France to see these kids play, because otherwise they don't belong to a league. No one will ever identify them. So
Mhm.
it's a purposeful travel, and as people travel through us, we use that money to actually fund those projects and just move those communities forward. So you
Right.
don't want to think of Kenya just as conserving the wilderness and the species. I wanted to conserving the people.
For
And
people.
so
Ah,
yes, so that's my next.
that's awesome. That is really, really awesome, and definitely causes to be able to travel for a cause is I think it adds even more meaning to the obvious benefit that the traveler will have in taking the trip, but taking the trip and knowing that it's benefiting youth or whatever the cause is. Like, I love that.
Thank you.
Um I love how your brain thinks and like I can definitely relate. I mean, not necessarily because I didn't grow up on an island, but because I don't swim.
Yeah.
And it's a very important skill to have. I think, whether you ever need it or not, it's still an important skill. So I will tell you that resonated with me. And then how awesome that the soccer players are getting an exposure to a country where soccer is a really big deal, that they get to have that. I think those are amazing,
Yeah.
um, noble initiatives. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to travel and support that. So I know we're going to have a conversation when this live is done. So tell me, because as I said, when I opened up, or when before we went live, I said, Amina is PharmaSis sweetheart, and that if you to know you is to love you, and that if someone hasn't connected or doesn't, if they're just been under a rock and they're just now hearing your name for the first time, which I cannot believe, that if they want to connect with you, I mean, you talked about some really poignant points about marketing yourselves, about um, realizing that, understanding your self-worth. You talked about, ownership is not the only solution. There are other solutions and other ways to try your ideas and what have you. So if anyone has listened to this and they, for whatever reason, had never met Dr. Amina or didn't even know who she was, they ought to know now. Tell me, what's the best way for people to connect with you? We want to send them to one place so they can all get in line. And what's the best way for them to connect and further connect with you?
The best way would be my email, amina@avantpharmacy.com,
Okay.
especially because I do have my assistant that allows me to prioritize and categorize some of the inquiries that are coming in because it can be overwhelming. I
Yeah.
love people and I could talk to everyone, and sometimes
Mhm.
it does get overwhelming. So if I don't respond, just know it's probably some fires that I'm putting out there, but I will get to you because
Yes.
Lizzie does an amazing job to put all those as priorities for me, and I follow her rules. So that will be the best place to connect with me.
Okay, and I'm going to give this disclaimer also, since you shared that email is the best. If you're watching this and you scribble down Amina's email address, do not spam her. Do not send her anything unwanted, or we will find you. Never. Do not. She's very generous to share her email address. And so if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I just add her to my mailing list, you better not. So, all right, I have to protect Amina because she's so sweet. And I don't want you to have like all this crazy mail all of a sudden, is an influx of mail from that you are looking for. So seriously, her sharing her contact information, that's like gold. And so if you want to connect with her, that's the best way. That's what she was sharing. Connect with her, not spam her. So with that, I want to say, Dr. Amina, every time I've ever had an opportunity to just connect with you, you are, as I said, pharmacy sweetheart, and it's been my joy. I learn from you. You are an amazing lady doing some amazing things in the world of pharmacy. And one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Jarika Dodd is, "You would be amazed at what a woman pharmacist can create." And I love, love, love to see the things that you create, the people. Like, I'm just like over the moon for this recent the travel idea. Like, I love that. I hadn't had a chance to talk to you more about it. So I love hearing the causes that you support and that that are close to your heart. So congratulations to you for everything. Thank you for being a part of the PharmaSis community. You definitely have um, become a part of a group of women that I admire. I'm grateful to know and to be connected with. And thank you for what you're doing, not only in the profession, but just in the earth. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to meet more people, connect, and just together make the world a better place. With or with, within our profession, outside the profession, just being who we are, showing up to the world. And thank you for that opportunity. And as always, it's just very engaging, exciting, and inspiring just to see the work that you're doing and going the extra mile to find individuals that can tell their stories so they can
Yeah.
inspire others. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share your story on our platform. All right. So you've seen her here, Dr. Amina Abubakar. If you want to connect with her, she's giving you instructions on how to do that. And we are going to sign off until our next interview. Thank you, Dr. Amina. Bye.
Bye.